Okay, before you watch this video, two things that everybody needs to know. First of all of these are recorded and edited at least a day or two in advance, some of them even more. And any changes that occur between recording and uploading, those I will discuss in the first episode of WNBA Weekly. If someone gets hurt during preseason, odds are I'm going to miss it by like an hour or so. And then I will talk about that on May 13th when I upload the first episode of the season. Second of all, I am not in any way associated with the WNBA or any of their sponsors or affiliates. I am not part of the Associated Press. I'm just a guy who loves basketball and wants to talk about the game that I love. So yeah, all of these are just my own personal opinions based on the observations that I've made. I do take into account some of the things that the media and players and other people will say, but at the end of the day, these are my opinions. So if I happen to say something negative about one of your favorite teams, deal with it. Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Nile, and this is the WNBA 2017 preseason power rankings, where I look at how all the moves that a team made during the offseason and try to predict how many wins I think they'll get during the regular season and whether or not they'll actually make it to the playoffs at all. And now we are in the top 8, which means that from this point on, every team I'm talking about is going to make the playoffs. And I'm guessing that by this point in time, there have already been a few shocks for some people out there. And if you were shocked by some of the teams that I thought wouldn't make the playoffs, you're going to be shocked by some of the teams that I think are. Starting with number 8, which I have chosen. That's right, the Chicago Sky, who lost Pokey Chapman. She's now the head coach in Indiana. Amber Stocks take over as the head coach and GM. They also lose Elena Delle. They trade away their best player. And so, there are other teams that have gone through this exact same thing, like the Fever, lost their best player, lost their head coach, and I said specifically because of that, they wouldn't make the playoffs. So why am I a little bit higher on the Sky? Even though Delle, obviously a huge part of this franchise, the Sky had never made the playoffs before she got there, and then as soon as they drafted her, they're just making the playoffs every single season. So it is a great loss, but Elena Delle always had a tremendous supporting cast, so there is still a talented roster in place. Allie Quigley, 2-time Sixth Woman of the Year. Courtney Vandersloot, she's been to the All-Star game. She's a veteran leader with tons of experience, always one of the best in the league at assists. Cappie Pondexter, All-Star, champion, possible Hall of Famer in the future. They've got a talented roster, and they did, even though they lost their biggest name, they still managed to add a lot of more talent, and it seems like almost just a vertical movement. They lost their biggest individual playmaker, but they added depth at every position. Trading for Stephanie Dolson among others. They had a good draft. They went into free agency, got some decent names. This is a good team. Now, there are definitely some questions going forward, like the fact that they've got depth at every position. I'm interested to see what the position battles turn out like, because you've already got Imani Boyette, who last year really came on, especially in the second half of the year. She became an every game starter. She was getting double-doubles. I think she's a consistent threat, great defender, great rebounder. She's 6'7". There aren't too many players in the league who can get the ball away from her. And if she can really start coming on offensively, start feeling more comfortable on that side of the ball, very few players in the league who can block her. Then they add Stephanie Dolson, herself an established star, not the Elena Delle level, but still very good playmaker. And I'm wondering who's going to be the starting center. That's my biggest question. Is one of them going to come off the bench so that they can always have a good rotation, constantly be strong in the middle? Or could they slide Stephanie down to the 4 spot, go with the Twin Towers approach? Either way, I think there's a lot of excitement about this team. One of the biggest questions, something that Elena did was bringing consistent point scoring. So where is that going to come from? We already know Cappie and Quigley, they've established themselves as strong scoring options. You've got a guard in Vandersloot who can create shots for other people. You've got some great bigs who can impose their will inside. I think this team's going to have a great inside-out game. There's no Donne level, oh, she's impossible to guard, who do we put on her? Let's just throw the whole kitchen sink and hope that other people aren't making shots type of players anymore. But like, there are still players that working within the system, this offense can still put up some points, and I think they can still play well on defense. Their length is definitely scary. If you look at their roster, they've got more 6-footers than anyone else. They only have, last I checked, 4 players under 6 feet tall. 4 total players. This is a team with a lot of length that can bother some people, harass them. If they play aggressive on defense, they can get in some passing lanes, deflect a lot of shots. I don't see them actually fighting for a championship, but I think if you can play consistently well and they're able to consistently make shots, put up those points, and their defense doesn't suffer, they definitely are a strong, talented team. There has been enough turnover this offseason that I expect there to be a bit of a learning curve. They have to take time to adjust to some of these changes, but obviously they are a really talented team with strength and depth at every position. And if they can execute defensively and put up some good shots, put up some high-scoring games and force teams to really work to match them, I think they're definitely going to have a solid year. I think the loss of Delle hurts this team, but doesn't kill them. She's had injury issues before. They've had to try and win without her before, and they have been able to do it at times. So that's it for this segment. Tune in tomorrow when I talk about the number 17. And until then, I'm your host, Nathan. This has been The Fan Perspective. I hope you have a great day.